I wish I could tell you it started with a whisper, a suspicion, something subtle. But no, it started with a slap in the face. Not physical. Worse. It was her silence. Her smug, complicit silence as a man who wasn't me called me a failure with a wallet right in front of her. And she laughed. Not even a forced laugh. Not even nervous. She found it funny. That hurt-laced chuckle was the moment my heart broke and my pride burned to ash. We were at a dinner party. Her friends. Not mine. I never liked these people, finance bros with too much hair gel and women with more Botox than backbone. But she insisted. It'll be good for your image, she said, like I was a damn accessory to her social climb. Then there was him. Chase. Of course his name was Chase. 6 foot everything, fake Rolex, louder than necessary, and not once did he stop eyeing my wife like she came with a price tag. I watched her bask in it. In the attention. In the way he leaned in a little too close when he spoke. And she didn't pull away. But I held my tongue. Until dessert. That's when it happened. He clinked his glass, stood, and raised a toast. To Madison, the most breathtaking woman here. I don't know how someone like her ended up with a guy who looks like he manages a failing gas station. Laughter. All of them. Her included. She didn't flinch. She didn't defend me. She smiled, tilted her head, and sipped her wine. That was it. I stood. Quiet. Calm. Looked her dead in the eye and said, decide who matters most. Right now. Silence fell like a guillotine. She blinked once, then turned away. That was my answer. I left. But I didn't walk out of that restaurant with just heartbreak. I walked out with questions. With rage burning so hard it made my teeth ache. I walked out with the haunting need to know. How long had I been the joke? Because it wasn't just a disrespectful toast. No. That dinner wasn't the beginning. It was the middle of the end. And I was about to find out just how deep the betrayal ran that I didn't go home that night. I drove. No music. No GPS. Just rage and headlights cutting through the darkness. The city blurred around me while one question echoed like a war drum in my head. How long has she been playing me? When I finally pulled up to her house, my house, it was 3:12 a.m. Her car was parked perfectly in the driveway like everything was normal. As if nothing had happened. As if she hadn't let another man humiliate me like a damn nobody. But I didn't walk in. I sat in the car, watching the windows. The living room lights were off, but her bedroom lamp was on upstairs. I knew that warm glow. She always left it on when she stayed up late texting. Her FaceTiming. Or whatever. I opened my phone. I had never checked hers before. Never had to. But something snapped inside me. So I logged into the cloud. You know, the one where all our devices were synced. Photos. Notes. Messages. God. I should have been more prepared. The first thread I opened was with a contact named L. No emoji. No last name. Just L. At first, it was nothing. But then I scrolled. And scrolled. And it got worse. He's so boring when he talks about his job. I swear I fake my reactions half the time. You make me feel alive, not like him. I wish he could see how pathetic he sounds when he says he trusts me. I felt my stomach twist. But I kept reading. You should have come over tonight. He's out late again, probably buying another one of those sad button-up shirts he thinks make him look ambitious, face with ears of joy. Let's do the thing again this weekend, the one with the mirror-winking face. I couldn't breathe. I sat in my car, choking on the realization that my marriage wasn't just falling apart. It had been dead for months, maybe years. And I didn't even see it. Because I trusted her. I defended her. I loved her. And all the while, she was feeding him pieces of my dignity like it was a game. I opened our security camera app. We'd installed them for peace of mind. Funny. I clicked on the living room feed, the archive from last Sunday while I was at my mom's. There they were. Madison. And L. The same guy from the dinner. Chase. They weren't even subtle. He walked in like he owned the place. She greeted him like she was starving, and he was dessert. And what they did on my couch, our couch, I'll never forget that twisted performance. She laughed when he made a joke about me being too tired to keep up. She didn't defend me. She didn't flinch. She agreed. I closed the app. I sat back. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just whispered to myself, you gave everything to a woman who sold you for attention. Tomorrow, I confront her. But tonight, I mourned the man I used to be, the one who thought love was enough. The sun hadn't even risen when I walked through the front door. It was quiet. Too quiet. That kind of silence that feels like it's waiting to break into pieces. I left my shoes by the door, like I always did, out of habit more than anything. My heartbeat was calm, my steps deliberate. I wasn't coming in to scream. I wasn't coming in to beg. I was coming in for answers. No. For confirmation. She was still in bed. The same bed we shared. Wrapped in the same sheets where I used to hold her like she was the most precious thing I'd ever touched. Now, all I saw was a mask. A liar sleeping like she wasn't destroying lives in her spare time. Madison, I said. Just her name. Her eyes fluttered open. It took her a second to register it was me. Oh, hey, you're back early. What time is it? She sat up, rubbing her eyes like I was just interrupting a dream. I stared at her. It's over. She blinked. What's over? I held up my phone. My hand didn't even shake. You. Me. This circus you've been running behind my back. Her face changed. Not in shame. Not even in fear. It twisted into annoyance. Like I just asked her a dumb question in front of her friends. Wow, she said, throwing the sheets off herself. You've been spying on me? Spying. I laughed once sharp, bitter. You brought him into my house. Onto my couch. You laughed about me like I was some joke with a paycheck. She stood now, folding her arms. Look, maybe if you weren't so predictable. So safe. I wouldn't have needed to find someone who actually made me feel alive. I took a step closer. Alive? You call that being alive? Lying to my face? Whispering to another man while I'm busting my ass to give you everything? She rolled her eyes. You gave me a cage. Chase gives me freedom. Fun. Excitement. God, Evan, don't you get it? I outgrew you. That was it. Not I'm sorry. Not let me explain. Just, I outgrew you. You defended the man who disrespected me in front of you, I said slowly, like she'd missed the weight of it. And you smiled while he did it. So I'm giving you one chance to stop pretending. She looked at me, arms still crossed, chin lifted. What chance? Decide who matters most. Right now. She didn't answer. She didn't even hesitate. She walked past me, grabbed her phone, and said, I think you already know the answer. My chest didn't cave in. It hardened. In that moment, I knew everything I needed to know about the woman I married and the stranger she'd become. When the door slammed behind me, I didn't feel free. I felt hollow. You expect that moment, the one where you finally confront them, where all the truth explodes, to come with clarity, some rush of strength. But instead, I walked out feeling like I'd just buried someone. Maybe I did. Maybe I buried the version of me that still believed in her. The streets were quiet. I didn't even know where I was driving. I just needed motion, something to convince me I was moving forward and not just falling deeper into some emotional black hole. The world looked different now, colors dimmer, people colder. I caught myself wondering how many other couples walking by were faking it too. How many other husbands were being lied to and didn't even know it. I parked near the lake. Just sat on the hood of my car and stared at the water. That's when the sadness hit. It wasn't loud. It was quiet. Heavy. The kind of sadness that doesn't cry or scream. It just sits in your chest like a weight you know won't go away soon. I thought about the first time I met Madison. She had this energy, like she lit up the air around her. I was hooked instantly. She used to tell me I made her feel safe, like home. I believed her. Every word. Every kiss. Every plan we made. But now I saw it for what it was, a performance. I started to question everything. Did she ever love me? Or was I just the safe bet she needed until someone with more flash and less integrity showed up? The worst part wasn't even the betrayal. It was realizing I meant less than nothing to her in the end. That she didn't even try to lie her way out of it, because I wasn't even worth that. I stared at my reflection in the car window. I didn't recognize the man looking back. Eyes dull. Shoulders tense. Mouth set in a hard line. She took something from me, not just trust. She took the version of myself that believed I was enough. But here's the thing about rock bottom. Once you hit it, you stop falling. And you start climbing. That night, as I sat by the water and watched the ripples catch the moonlight, I made a promise to myself. I wasn't going to let her be the final chapter of my story. She was going to be the turning point. Tomorrow, I'd make my next move. Not out of pain. Not out of revenge. But out of power. Because no one gets to laugh at me and walk away without consequences. Be why the next morning, the grief had stopped scratching at my throat. It had transformed into something sharper, colder, more focused. I didn't want apologies. I didn't want explanations. What I wanted was control again. I walked into my kitchen like a soldier entering enemy territory. The house smelled like her perfume. Her cup was still on the counter, half full. That used to be an endearing little habit. Now it made my skin crawl. She wasn't home. Probably with him. Good. Because this wasn't going to be a conversation anymore. It was going to be a decision. Mine. I sat down at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. I started with the lawyer. Quick call. Calm voice. Just the facts. Yes, I'd like to proceed with a divorce. Irreconcilable differences. Infidelity. Emotional cruelty. Next, the bank. Our accounts were joint. I had already opened a new one the night before, and within 10 minutes, every cent that was legally mine had been moved. I left her just enough to keep the utilities running for a week. Then, the locks. I called a locksmith, asked him to be discreet, and tipped him triple to do it in under 30 minutes. He didn't ask questions. Smart man. I stood in the doorway as he worked, the cold breeze brushing against my face while I watched him replace the core of every lock on the property. New keys. Fresh start. I walked into our bedroom and opened her side of the closet. I didn't throw anything out. I didn't go full petty and burn her things. No. I boxed them. Neatly. Carefully. Without rage. I stacked every memory of her, every heel, every blouse, every fake smile captured in a framed picture, into containers and placed them by the door. Her entire presence reduced to cardboard. There was one last thing I had to do. I grabbed the envelope. The one with the printed screenshots. Her messages. The photos. The timestamps. I slid it inside a manila folder, sealed it, and placed it on top of her boxes. On the front, I wrote in black marker. This is why. Don't bother calling. By the time she got back later that evening, I was already sitting in a hotel room downtown with a drink in my hand and no wedding ring on my finger. She called once. I didn't answer. She texted. What the hell is this? Are you serious right now? Then another. We can talk about this like adults. Don't do anything stupid. Like adults? The irony made me laugh out loud. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Because the second you stop begging for love from someone who weaponized it against you, you become dangerous. The next day, I woke up to chaos. 12 missed calls. 17 texts. 3 voicemails. Madison was spiraling. You can't just throw away years like this. You're acting like a child. This is insane. Just come home so we can talk. And finally, the desperate one. Please. I made a mistake. Don't make me regret telling the truth. That one made me laugh bitterly. She didn't tell the truth. I dragged it out of the shadows and slammed it onto the table for her to choke on. The only thing she regretted was getting caught. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded all her messages to my lawyer and asked him to proceed with everything, asset division, property rights, everything down to the last signature. I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of another dramatic scene. That part of my life was over. She didn't take it well. By noon, she was outside the hotel. Front desk called me in a panic. Sir, there's a woman here demanding to speak to you. She says it's urgent. I looked through the security camera feed on the app and saw her, sunglasses, messy hair, pacing back and forth like a lioness who just realized her cage had been welded shut. I walked down slowly. She saw me the moment I stepped into the lobby and rushed forward. Evan, please, just listen to me. I held up a hand. Don't cause a scene. She froze, shocked by my tone. I used to soften when I spoke to her. I used to fold. Not anymore. I came here because we need to talk like two people who shared something real, she said, voice trembling just enough to seem human. We didn't share something real, I replied. I did. You shared lies. You don't understand it. I understand perfectly, I cut her off. You picked your side. At that dinner, when he insulted me and you smiled, that was the clearest thing you've ever said. Her eyes welled up. It didn't mean anything. And neither do your tears, I said. Save them for someone who's still fooled. She took a shaky breath. I thought you'd fight for us. I leaned in, just enough for only her to hear. You don't get to burn a bridge and then be shocked when I don't swim back through the flames. She flinched. That was the first time I saw her break, really break. No mask. No defense. Just the realization that her fallback plan had just walked away without looking back. I turned and walked away. And this time, she didn't follow. I thought closure would come with some grand event. Maybe watching her move out. Maybe standing in a courtroom hearing the final judgment. Maybe even some last dramatic confession from her lips that would validate everything I felt. But closure didn't come like that. It came in silence. 2 weeks passed. Madison stopped trying. No more texts. No more what if messages. No more sudden appearances outside my hotel or at my office. She vanished, like smoke after a fire finally dies. That should have made me happy. Instead, it made me still. Not bitter. Not angry. Just still, like I'd reached the eye of the storm and realized the chaos had already passed. One night, I returned home. Yes, home. My house. The one I paid for. The one where I once imagined raising a family. It was empty now. Her boxes had been collected. Her perfumes gone. No trace of her heels in the closet or her fake laugh echoing through the halls. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself a drink, and sat at the table. This is where we used to talk. Where she'd sit, scrolling through her phone while pretending to listen. Where I'd try to engage with a woman who was slowly becoming a stranger. Now, it was just me and the truth. And for the first time in years, the truth didn't scare me. It empowered me. I opened my laptop and finished the final email to my lawyer confirming the asset split. I'd given her the furniture, the vacation points, even the luxury car, the one I paid for. Not because I was weak, but because I didn't need any of it anymore. She could keep the scraps. I was rebuilding from the ground up, and this time, without rot beneath the surface. The next morning, I canceled all the subscriptions she used. Streaming platforms, designer boxes, even the overpriced Wine of the Month club she never drank from. Symbolic? Maybe, but necessary. Then I did something even more important. I called my brother. My real brother. The one I hadn't talked to in months because she convinced me he didn't respect her. That was her tactic. Isolation. Distance. He picked up on the second ring. Evan? Yeah, I said, clearing my throat. You busy? Not for you. That hit me harder than I expected. We talked for 2 hours. Laughed. Made plans. Reconnected. That's when I realized something crucial. Healing doesn't start when they apologize, because sometimes they never do. Healing starts the moment you stop trying to prove your worth to someone who was never worthy of you. Madison was never my closure. I was. And now? Now I was finally free. People always say time heals everything. They're wrong. Time doesn't heal anything. It only gives you space. What you do in that space, that's what decides whether you bleed or build. And I chose to build. It started slowly. I began waking up without a weight on my chest. I stopped checking my phone hoping for closure. I stopped replaying every argument, every lie, every late-night whisper she gave to someone else. Instead, I started living again. I took a trip by myself, nothing fancy. Just a cabin upstate. No reception. Just me, some trees, and air that didn't feel poisoned by betrayal. I read books I never finished. Cooked meals for one, and actually enjoyed the silence that used to haunt me. I remembered what it felt like to just be. And I learned something I never expected. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Madison made me feel alone while lying next to me. That's the cruelest kind of loneliness, the kind where someone's presence feels emptier than their absence. No, I didn't feel hollow anymore. I felt whole. I started reconnecting with friends. Real ones. People she had pushed away, labeled as bad influences or immature. I realized how many of my relationships she controlled, subtly and deliberately. And I stopped blaming myself. That's the thing about betrayal, it makes you question your reflection. It turns every strength into a flaw. Maybe I was too boring, too predictable, not enough. But the truth is, I wasn't the problem. She was. She wanted excitement more than loyalty, applause more than love, attention more than respect. She didn't just lie to me, she lied to herself. Built a fantasy on top of a foundation of manipulation and expected it to last. But karma doesn't forget. A month after the divorce was finalized, I got a message from an unknown number. Just 2 lines. I miss how safe you made me feel. Chase isn't who I thought he was. I stared at the message. I didn't block her. I didn't reply. I just smiled. Because I had no intention of being her safety net ever again. She made her choice. And I walked away from the fire without begging for a single drop of water. So if you're reading this, and you're in the middle of that chaos, if your world just cracked open and you don't know who you are without them, listen to me. You will survive. Not just survive, rise. Let the pain shape you, not define you. Let the loss remind you of your worth. Let them drown in the mess they created, while you learn how to breathe again. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say isn't, I love you. It's, you don't matter anymore. And mean it. That was my freedom. That was my lesson. And I never looked back.